Today we're gonna learn about the poem Horses.
Is that the one by Edwin Muir?
Yeah, that one.
Can we just talk about the poet and the context first?
Okay. Edwin Muir was born in Scotland and had a happy childhood growing up in a farm area surrounded by animals.
When he was 14, he moved to Glasgow, to the city centre. He personally regarded the move as going from the Garden of Eden to hell, due to his connection with nature and above all, horses.
Muir was fascinated about the theme of metaphysical and physical surroundings. Muir exploited these connotations of a spiritual or heavenly surroundings, which is beyond the physical world, adding an extra dimension to nature.
Horses are constantly mentioned throughout the poem. This is due to two reasons. Either the poet is desperately trying to remember his memories, or that he is empathizing the divine nature, almost spiritual behavior. They are symbolic of an almighty aura, since the poem is connected to the past, present, and future. This is done through magic, blackening rain, and the possibility of an apocalypse.
Now tell me something about the important quotes in the poem.
Okay, the lumbering horses in the steady plough on the bare field. The use of adjectives such as lumbering and steady to describe the horses also expresses the poet's point of view of how he believes nature is very permanent and unchangeable or untamable by humans, and also suggests the poet's respect for nature and his wish for nature to stay unchanged. The word bare is a metaphor for a blank canvas and the adaptability of nature, although it is permanent and stable. This helps to convey the poet's awe and admiration towards the power of nature. The next one is, and the great hulks were seraphim of gold, like mute ecstatic monsters on the mole. It shows the poet's reverence towards the horses by words like gold and seraphim, as well as saying the horses are large and elvenly, but they're also angelic, graceful, which could be in a way of saying nature is amazing in any form. Then the second part of the quotation explains the way the poet is sad about nature being corrupted by humans and industrialization.
Marched broad-breasted to the sinking sun. The alliteration shows that the horses are proud and strong, at the same time displaying superiority over other living things. In addition, the use of the word sun creates further imagery, since the night is quickly reeling in, whilst day is coming to an end, possibly foreshadowing the end of the poet's happy memories. Warm and glowing with mysterious fire, the horses are again portrayed as supernatural. Fire is one of the key elements of nature, suggesting a link or connection perhaps between the horse and fire. Although currently horses are used in labor, they still possess this power, which can never be extinguished, suggesting metaphysical characteristics of them. Cruel apocalyptic light. The reference to the Bible and the possibility of the end of the world, the poet could be showing signs of distress due to the fear of the end of the world. He could also be connecting this to the idea of God to horses, emphasizing that horses are a creation of God, thus ensuring that their holiness is always maintained.
Now it fades. The poet is exaggerating the diminishing image of his nostalgic memories. The exclamation mark is used as enjambment in order to desperately try to replay the happy memories, thus meaning that the word will seem to fade away. Black fields and the still standing tree creates imagery of the Industrial Revolution, and perhaps his dislike towards the city, connected to his move to Glasgow at such a young age in his life.
So, what's the main theme of the poem, student?
The main theme of the poem expresses the importance of reminiscence and the passing of time with no understanding of what the future may bring. The horses represents the past when the world was not industrialized. The tone of the poem exemplifies bitterness and anger for the changed world in which Muir now lives. Yet he finds a strange beauty in the previous time when the horses worked to make the field come to life. Sir, tell me something about other techniques used in the poem.
Okay, so first of all, the rhyme scheme. The rhyme scheme is a simple AA, BB, and CC. However, some rhymes are lost, for example, wind and blind, showing that eventually, over the course of time, some people can get lost.
The tone always changes because of the speaker's feelings about those amazing creatures that are horses.
Constant caesura throughout the poem. This illustrates the poet's attempt to try and recall the past. Note that there are a lot of found, especially towards the beginning of the poem. For example, in the first few stanzas of it.
Personification makes the horses look as creatures not from this world, but from a different world, and even more perfect than the world we live in. The quotes that show this are, "The manes of leaping ire of wind," and "like magic power of the stony grange."
How do you find the poem now, student?
Yeah, it's pretty easy now, thanks, sir.
Okay, so now we're ready to write an exam-style question.
What's the question?
Explore how Edwin Muir vividly conveys his admiration and fear of horses as a child in the poem Horses.
Okay, at the beginning of the poem, Muir conveys his feelings towards horses and nature through his use of descriptive imagery. The lumbering horses in the study plow to a bare field. The use of adjectives such as lumbering and study to describe the horses expresses his views of how he believes nature is very permanent and unchangeable or untamable by humans, and also suggests that he has respect for nature and his wish for nature to stay unchanged. The word bare is a metaphor for a blank canvas and the adaptability of nature, although it is permanent and stable. This helps to convey the poet's awe and admiration toward the power of nature.
In addition to this, Muir insightfully portrays his variety of emotions through the utilization of horses throughout the poem. This is evident in quotes including "hooves like pistons in an ancient mill," where the simile produces imagery in the imagination of readers, eloquently presenting the powerful nature of the horses, and yet mechanical simultaneously, which can also be seen as negative. On the other hand, an alternative link is being made to the Industrial Revolution, during which machines replaced the manual labor, including horses. Perhaps the poet's nostalgic tone is a reference to his background, since Muir very much felt connected to the countryside, thus detesting his move to the industrial land of Glasgow at such an early age. Furthermore, connotations of sacred, rapture, and apocalyptic depict biblical imagery of horses, to the extent that Muir is comparing the species of horses as God's creation. An explicit meaning could indicate that the poet illustrates faith in the horses, being able to overcome any obstacle, including the cruel apocalyptic light, which foreshadows the biggest ending of all time, the end of the world and death itself.
Lastly, it seems as if Muir is in a dreamlike state while remembering his childhood life through the alliteration of country crystalline. The almost ecstatic comparison of his memories to a crystal perfect describes how he vividly remembers parts of his life on the Orkney Islands, but only in periods. Just like how a crystal is transparent but reflective, Muir is evidently distressed that he cannot properly recall everything when he examines it fades. The timeless nature of horses are once again encompassed when their hooves move up and down, yet seem as standing still. This paradox gives a feeling of eternity to the existence of horses and shows how Muir sees them as celestial and persistent creatures. I bet that was like a star answer, yeah?
You wish, student.
Here are 2 more exam-style questions for you to do. Have fun. Explain how Muir comments on the theme of power in the poem Horses.
How does Edwin Muir change the mood in Horses, and to state the importance of these changes? Thanks for watching.